Okay everyone, this week we're going to be looking at Lesson 5, Isometric Projections. I know we've skipped over Lesson 4, it makes more sense to do that after this lesson, so we're going to do them the other way around. So Isometric Projections is what we're going to be doing this week. There's a step-by-step guide on how we can draw a simple cube in Isometric Projections. That's going to be important in just a moment. I want to quickly explain the difference between oblique projections that we did last week and isometric that we're going to be focused on this week. Now last week you'll notice we started out with a standard square flat on the page. However, if you're looking at a square flat on, you actually can't see the top and the side there. You can only see that surface face. So what we were doing last time is a simple way to show things in 3D, but it's not quite realistic having that bottom line being flat. If I move this cube so we can see the top, the side and the other side, you'll notice that that bottom angle is also going up at an angle as well. In fact, it looks almost exactly the same as our isometric drawing there. So when we're actually drawing things in 3D, you'll notice that the angles are a little bit more angled backwards as they go up along those edges and looking down here. It's impossible to see a 3D object flat onto the face and up like that. So this was a good starting point for us to learn about what 3D objects are, and again oblique projections is the standard starting point that we all do when we're learning 3D. But now we're a little bit more advanced, we're going to go into isometric projections here. Now what we'll need for this week's lesson is some isometric paper that I have on there for you to print out. Now for those of you that cannot print isometric paper, don't worry, you can still use plain paper, and as I mentioned before, we're going to use the instructions here to help us along. So I'll quickly show you how we're going to do it with isometric drawings on some plain paper. I'm going to start off here just by drawing a line straight up exactly 5 centimeters. So I've got my 5 centimeter line there. If you remember when we were doing our lettering, they're all 5 by 4. So I've got my line going straight up 5 centimeters, but the lines going side to side, they're all going to go off at 30-degree angles, which is why I'm using a set square here. So you need to dig around in your pencil cases where you do your maths lessons and get your set squares out. I'm going to draw a line just straight up there and a line straight up over there, like so. Now for these, remember they're 4 centimeters along, so I'm just going to, it should really be 4 centimeters like this and straight up. So that's our 4 centimeters, 3 centimeters, 2 centimeters and 1 centimeter. There we go. Once we've measured 4 centimeters, another line straight up like that. Now remember, from the top of that line, which is 5 centimeters tall on our letters, I'm going to get my 30-degree line up again, so we can see that face of the cube there, and I'm going to very lightly draw those lines going up because they're my 4 bits there, and along here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Same thing here. I now have my 5 by 4 centimeter cube, just like we were doing in crating. The only difference is, just like we were doing with the isometric as well, is it's at a slightly different angle now, but the same principle works exactly the same here. So I'm going to start off with, say for example, the letter M, which is the word that I've chosen. I've got a 6-letter word here. So the same thing here, this goes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares up there. On the inside it goes up 3. So on the inside of that one, I'm going to go up 3, just like so. And then looking at that M there, it goes down 2 and across 1. So down 2 squares and across 1. Even though it's off at a different angle, I'm actually not doing anything different from what I did in my original crating here. So again, I'm going across 1 and up 2, exactly like before. So across 1 and up 2, exactly like I'm doing in my crating. And then down 3. This should not be any different from when we were doing This is why we did creating at the beginning, so we can understand this when we're doing them in 3D objects. Again, same with the top of the M there. It goes across 1, down 2, and across 1 and up 1. I just follow what I have here and I copy it there. So down 2, across 1, that takes me to there. Across 1 and up 2, that takes me to there. And I'm just going to go round them bits there so you can see that letter M nice and visible in that same creating method. Now, the only difference is you'll notice it's all at a 30-degree angle because we're trying to make it look more 3D. Difference is obviously we're going back on this side now, so I want to go back, let's give it a 2 centimeter gap because that always looks better, a little bit thicker of the letter there. So again, I'm going to go straight up here like that. Going to get my 30-degree line going straight across like so, and then I'm just going to get the top of it going there and there. Now all I'm going to do here is exactly what we were doing when we were doing our oblique projections. Difference is we're not dealing with a 45-degree angle here, we're dealing with a 30-degree angle. So again, the side of my M is just that's just a blank space there. I'm going to go up to the corner. I've already got that corner piece done there. I'm going to move this along till I reach that point on the M. Then we'll draw a line going back 30 degrees, just like so. I'm going to move along. This bit will tuck behind the M, I'm not worried about that. Up here you'll notice again, I'm going to go back 30 degrees. That's the back part of my M there. I'm going to go down to here. That part of my M is going to go up 30 degrees and tuck behind that centerpiece there. This bit here is also going to go up and tuck behind there. Oh, the final piece I've got is there. Now that's going to be actually parallel to this part here because it's the part of the M going back. So I'm going to make sure that line is parallel and there. And there I have a 3D letter M on blank paper using the isometric method that we did before. And all I'm going to do here is extend those lines out further, continuing. Obviously they're still at a 30-degree angle, and I'm then going to obviously measure the next one, 1, 2, 3, 4 centimeters, which goes straight up, and I'm going to do the same thing here, go back at 30-degree angle, so on and so forth. I'll do my next cube and I'll do my next set of letters. That's what you do on blank paper. I'm going to quickly grab the isometric paper now and show you what we do on that, because that's obviously if you cannot print it off, and it takes a little bit more setting up to do, so that might take you a little bit longer. I'll move that up. Right, now when you're using the isometric paper, thankfully most of the lines are already on there for you as a grid, so you don't need to worry too much about obviously keeping to the 30-degree angles because you can just follow the lines. So you don't really necessarily need the set square for this piece. We can just do everything with a ruler, but if you want to bring that in as well just to kind of help you as a bit of a guide, it doesn't really matter too much. So we're just going to go along here, so I'm going to start there, and you can see in the isometric paper the lines are still there, and that each one of those lines represents a centimeter. Doesn't matter what angle it's going at. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 squares straight up. That's the bottom part of our first letter. So that's the very edge of it. We're going to go along now the bottom here. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you remember when we was doing our creating, every single letter here is all 5 by 4. So I'm then going to go up again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then across 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that square there, even though it's at a 30-degree angle, is the exact same thing that we did in our creating. So we still got a 5 by 4 there. So I'm going to follow the same rules that I did here. So last time I was doing the M, I'm going to do the same thing here. Remember with the M there. So if you look here, 1, 2, 3, it goes up 3 squares on the inside of that M there. So I'm going to go across 1 and then go up 1, 2, 3, just like that. Same on the outside of the M on this side, still 3 up there. So I'm going to come down 1 centimeter this time and go up 1, 2, and 3, just like that. Now looking at the M here, I go down 2 squares and across 1, and that's where I can find the center bottom part of my M here. So down 2 squares and across 1, and I can then just put a line from there to there. And it's the same up here. So looking at that M, it was down 2, across 1, down 2, across 1, so it goes from there to there to there. And as I join those lines up to those dots, I have my letter M encrating exactly like I've done here. The only difference is this is a flat on letter M. This one here is at a 30-degree angle, which will allow us to make it 3D in a moment. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back, let's go back 2 squares. Make it a nice chunky letter M so we can see it a little bit better. And then go up to there as well. And we can have it like that. I'm going to go back across here like this. Go across there at that 30-degree angle as well. All gone a little bit too far, but that's fine. I'm going to use that a little bit later on. And there we have our 3D block in isometric view. Now we follow the same thing we did with the oblique projection. So every time the line changes direction, so the bottom of the M, that's already going up there, and the top of the M, that's already going up. As I go across to that part of the M, I need to draw a line following the lines on the isometric paper on the grid going back. That's that part of the M. I'm going to go down to here, but that goes behind the M. We're not going to see that. Up to there. Again, that goes across like so. There is a line here going down, but it's going to be parallel with this at the back there. So I'm going to put that line parallel down like so. And then finally, the bottom of the M goes up at a 30-degree angle to there. And then that bottom part, the point of the M, also goes up at a 30-degree angle, and we'll see them 2 bits there. Now that's my 3D letter M, and just like before, all I'm going to do, I'm going to get rid of this for now. I'll use that as a grid for later. I'm just going to extend these up and going all the way along, and I should be able to get about 6 letters across here, if I remember correctly. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. That's about how much I can fit on my A4 page there. I'm going to go across with all of them, like so, following that 30-degree line all the way up. It's a lot easier when you've got the gridded paper. Again, it's not the end of the world if you don't. You can still do this on the plane like I showed you before. I'm going to extend the back of the letter, coming all the way out to there, and then back to here like that. Oh, and I've just got the tops of each one of those cubes coming in like so. Right, so there I've got all the cubes for the remaining letters that I want to do. So what I'm going to do next is a letter E. So I follow my examples on the crating, do the exact same method on the front here. Now this is your 3rd lesson doing this, so you should probably be able to do these without a guide for now. But if you still need it, just refer back to the PowerPoint on lesson 1 where all those examples are in there, and you can still use them as a guide. There's my letter E there. Now the back of the E is covered by the M, the top of the E is already done because it's a kind of a squarish letter. I've got the bottom of the E, which is just going to come up there, and the middle part, which will go there. Everything else is tucked behind. That's nice and simple. The next letter I'm going to do is an R, so I follow the same rules here. I can even use that as a guide if I need to. And I'm going to go here, so 1, 2, that goes down to there. That bit then comes up to here. This one goes to there, it curves round, it goes up, it curves round there. Again, this square here, even though it's a bit of a diamond-shaped square, it still follows the exact same rule when we did that curve inside that square there. So we just follow the same pattern. Down, across, across, about halfway. I'm going to do a curve there. There's my R. That's kind of hidden behind because of the angle of the R that's already at a 30-degree angle. The top of the R we'll see, just like we did before, so that's where the line stops. There's a bit of the curve there, so that will come up and across. There'll be a little curve round like that. You'll just see the edge of the curve as it disappears behind the R, making it look obviously a little bit 3D. The inside of the R goes back a little bit too far. I've made the letters a bit thick there, but that's perfectly fine. Everything else on that R is fine. I'm going to do the letter I now. Same method of creating that we've looked at before. And now I've got that letter I. I'm going to go back everywhere. Here we go. Back 2 squares like so. Here is going to go back to, there's going to disappear behind the R there. Back 1, 2 squares back there, and that will go, oh, there's a piece up at the I here that goes behind the R there as well. That's my letter I. I'm going to do a letter T now, and you'll see the word that I'm doing this week. T goes back here to 1, 2 spaces, and then back up here. All the other parts of the T are hidden behind it, and I'm going to finish off with a letter S. And yes, the word is merits. Lots of you have been submitting some fantastic work to me over the past couple of weeks, and I've been giving out some merits to people. So let's see who gets merits this time. Same thing here, back 30 degrees. That part of the curve there, there's a curve that comes down here like that. Oh, this part of the S comes up to there, like so, to the second point, and then it goes back here till about there. There's a 30-degree line that goes up there. That's the back part of the S that's visible. The T, the I, I'm pretty sure I got all the lines in there. So have a go at this, just like we did before. Same method of creating at the front, and similar to what we did the oblique projections, but rather than 45-degree angles, we're doing 30-degree angles on both sides, and you should have a nice 3D word just like this. Have a go at that, upload your work to me, and we'll see who of you gets some merits.